Hey, are you f***ing?
Please stop it.
Kiss. Why are you so hostile?
Hello, Danafil friends on the internet. Hello, gay people in my phone. How are you? Welcome to the finale of the podcast. If you've just joined us, I'm Talecia Vescio, and this is actually episode 4 of a 4-part series. Super weird time to join, actually. Go back, check them out. So in 2024, I interviewed Danafil as part of the promo run for the Australian leg of Terrible Influence Tour.
Personal attack against Dan Howell.
Yeah, okay. Come on, curly hair.
I mean, it's looking good.
I feel like I'm drinking the air right now.
And it's really not that strange. Like, I am a journalist by day and I interview people like pretty often. But this was Dan and fucking Phil. It was 20 minutes over Zoom and I was literally shitting bricks. I've been a fan for like over a decade now. I also literally had like meet and greet tickets for the Sydney show. And like, what if I totally fucked it up? What if they hated me? What if they weren't who I expected? Spoiler, I nailed it, and they were exactly who sits on the other side of our screens. So to end this little series, I really wanted to pull back the curtain and tell you kind of everything about it and how it almost didn't happen. Thank you to the official bev of the series. Let me hear you say it. It's Jose Cuervo Tequila. As well as the drinkies, we've also been frothing the Jose Hotline. Where is my phone? Fannies have been calling throughout the series to share their thoughts, their feelings, their opinions, very moving stories, the silly, goofy banter. It's been a mixed bag.
This is where we want you to come in. Every single week, we are going to play messages from you, the people.
And everyone that's called has a chance to win a Danville gift bag. And it's been a pure joy to curate them for you. Actually made stickers, capital Leicester. I love my wife, the world tour. Inspired by the Precious Baby Angel shirt. It says most fun I've ever had. An homage to the Tatton Off paper plates. I was here before the rebrand. And all I got was this lousy sticker. How's everyone feeling about the rebrand? The houses in Santa Monica, the one that's like the goth and the Barbie. Wee! This one has an owl slide. If you like them, I can make more. Anyway, they're my stickers. If you like them, buy them. If you don't, fucking don't buy them. Okay, strap the fuck in. So it's kind of crazy actually because Dan and Phil came to us, not crawling, begging. I got an email in the middle of the night from like a UK PR company that I'd never heard of. The subject line was Dan and Phil for Junkee. I will try and keep reference to crapping my pants to a minimum, but just a warning, it is how I express myself. Pooping in the club for life. It just felt like a fanfic. Like I was about to be sold to One Direction. My hair in a messy bun. His orbs ginormous. Reading the email, unfortunately, was very funny. I think it was the way that I never anticipated them to be presented to me in such a formal way. Like that's Dan and Phil from the internet. What are you talking about? And it was so interesting to me to see how their PR was pitching them and presenting them to publications and brands who probably don't know who they are. And you guessed it, I pooped my pants. I had about a million questions. How wide are they casting the net? Was it actually like us that they wanted, or were we just like one of the many, you know? Totally fine either way, but I was kind of baffled to find out that they kind of only did like 3 interviews when they were in Australia. I really didn't put a lot of thought into saying yes. And even though I knew my shit and I had a decade worth of law up my sleeve, I was terrified I wouldn't know enough, that I wasn't deep enough, like I would look like a fake fan. But my main question was like, when are we doing this? This interview nearly happened as many times as it nearly didn't. I was going back and forth with their UK reps. Dan and Phil were on tour in the US and I was here in Sydney. It was a logistical fucking nightmare.
It's a fucking hickey.
So I almost got on a call with them between their meet and greet and the show when they were in like Florida or some shit. But that didn't happen. And then we rescheduled for like 5 a.m. my time just after the US leg had wrapped. But at 4:45 a.m. the morning of the interview, I was told that they had been kicked out of their Vegas hotel early and they didn't have access to Wi-Fi. So I went back to bed, 17 and afraid of Olivia Rodrigo. I basically accepted that it just wasn't going to happen. And I was gutted. I was mortified. Till some genius on the email thread was like, hey, if you just wait 3 days, they're going to be in the country and you can do it on an Australian time zone. So then we get to the day of the interview. It was going to be at 10 o'clock. And then I got an email at 8:50. I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. We're cancelling. They've lost the Wi-Fi. Someone's had a medical crisis. Phil's eaten glue again. They've been attacked by a snake.
That actually did happen, by the way. That happened, by the way. We were playing tennis and then a snake just fell on my mum's head.
Jesus Christ.
She was okay though.
And the email said, hey, can we do it in 10 minutes? So we get on this call. I am face to face with Dan and Phil. Hi.
Hello.
The dullet is front and fucking center. I scripted my opening line and my closing line just in case that I panicked and like didn't know how to do small talk. So I started with an icebreaker of just like, happy Spotify rap day, ha ha ha. I thought it was going to be like over. Dan brought up, top of my Spotify rap's going to be Denonville beats. And then he started like mansplaining Denonville beats to me.
This year, we decided to make original music for our own content and call it Dan and Phil Beats, and we put it on Spotify.
I'm glancing down at my questions and I'm thinking, my first question is about Denonville beats. Because now he's just going to think that I'm piggybacking off what he's said, not, wow, Talicia's done a lot of research. Talicia's a real fan. I didn't want it to come across like I was fumbling my way through book club. Like I've read the fucking book. To this day, I still kind of hate that it starts like that it starts with happy Spotify rap day because it ages it. The main reason I want to talk about Denonville Beats was it's such a good example of them working with a fan. Usagi, who designs their covers for Denonville Beats, is a fan. Literally saw them freaking out on the timeline about the rebrand. I kind of had a couple questions like in that vein because I was really curious to know what it was like to kind of relinquish the control. I've personally been a video editor for people who are red fucking hot. That shit will never see the light of day. And I'm like not saying that they're going to say problematic shit, but in the rebrand video, they were saying that they've literally had to cut stuff out of videos.
Uh-oh, did we just say something that sounds gay?
I kind of felt like a nice camaraderie moment with them when I was talking about having such strong rapport with an editor to hand over control, to trust that this person has got your tone and is going to take care of your image. It's really tough to find people that get you and get your thing, and then you're like, okay, I can relinquish a little bit to you.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you got to be able to get it. I can't remember where I heard this, but I remember an actor saying something about being nice to the lighting and the crew is so important. Like they make or break how you are perceived in the end product. I think the respect that they have for like the art of making videos and editing itself was really, really cool to hear.
Dan and Phil are still doing it themselves, and it's busted as fuck.
We're still very old school. We don't have a producer or anything like that.
Someone should rein us the hell in.
For the first time, we've got people helping us. Can we
So
get
in
an enthusiastic yay like you like your job?
Wow, that was two people held at gunpoint, wasn't it?
It sounds like they need help. Free them.
I could have gone into this with no research, and maybe it looked like I did because I'm a fan, but I actually did like shitloads of research. I read every single interview that they've ever done. I went back and I watched a lot of Denonville videos for work, obviously, and it was really interesting to kind of see when they were comfortable in their own space, just kind of like talking to each other versus when there's like an intruder. And obviously hearing about like the anxiety that came with being in those situations where they were always just like petrified that someone was going to ask them like a really intrusive question. Like, of course they had their guard up.
I got terrified of doing interviews because I am really bad at lying. And so I just didn't want to do press ever.
It's not convenient trying to have a career as an entertainer and being like, I will do no interviews.
No.
Because they give me existential shit fear.
I spent quite a bit of time trying to understand and analyze in a cool, fun, like chill and caring way, what kinds of questions made them freeze or divert or answer in a way that didn't really feel like them, because I wanted to avoid that. The only person that I really like consulted about my questions was my sister Emily, who is producing this podcast with me, and sense checked and was like, do we think that this is like representing the fandom? And do we think that this is like gonna get like the best out of Dan and Phil? And I think that it did.
I knew that you got it.
It's very clear in other interviews that the interviewer doesn't really get Dan and Phil. So having someone who really understands them and the fandom makes all the difference. And Talecia was asking questions that we actually wanted to hear the answers to, and not just the same things that everyone else asks them.
They only know they're British and that they used to draw cat whiskers on their face. And let's just say that's not them anymore.
It felt like such a chill and laid back interview compared to some of the others they've done. It was a breath of fresh air as far as Dan and Phil interviews go.
I feel like everyone's energy worked really well together. Like I was just watching three friends catching up, just talking about life.
You could like see their body language change when they realized that you understood and that you were going to two of their shows. That was fab to me. It made me so happy.
Stop. No, I love that bit. No, I am really funny. One of my favorite compliments actually came from Dan Howell. Guys, isn't that crazy? Dan shared like a screenshot of the article, award for the most unhinged headline. Thank you. And I saw the notif come through from Dan, and I friggin' pissed and shat, and I grabbed my fucking cat cowboy, and he was like, what the fuck, mom? That's not his voice. I don't know why I'm saying that's his voice. So I was like really like just like tickled pink by that. I also got a bunch of comments on like the YouTube video when it went live. There was one that was like, the Tumblrinas are right. This is amazing. And I was like, the Tumblrinas? I need to go and check out what they're saying about me. I re-downloaded Tumblr and it was really, really cool and really nice. And I like saved over 800 screenshots of people saying nice shit. People at work, they like couldn't believe it. They were like, what the fuck is going on out there? And I was like, guys, everyone likes it. It's really fun and cool. I was nominated for Person of the Year 2024 on Tumblr. And I made it through 2 rounds and I beat Dalian, little bitch. So I'm technically an award-nominated journalist.
This is what's going to happen. Breaking news. Dan and Phil announced they're finally in a relationship.
But obviously,
we've known this since 2009.
water is wet.
My humble request, which is going to be ignored, is clickbait journalists of the world, please try to write a headline with at least one interesting angle.
I never usually go in with a headline. For this one, I did. Dan and Phil are standing pussy to the world. If it didn't come out that way, I could have absolutely changed the headline, but I'd observed this like growth in Dan and Phil as a fan. All my questions kind of came under the umbrella of that thesis statement. I also had like a really stupid one that was like, are you Airbnb-ing the house while you're on tour? Like, I probably wasn't gonna ask it anyway, but I thought it was funny. And you're gonna gag. Is there a world where Dan and Phil games just becomes Dan and Phil? The phrophecy. 20 minutes sounds like a long conversation, but it flies by. When we're rushing at the end of an interview, I try and smush like 2 questions that kind of go together. So I put together the questions, what do you rely on each other for? And what is something that you encourage each other to do more of? Hold for applause. They're beautiful fucking questions. Like, not to shit can anyone, but I really don't like the approach of like, how do you balance living and working together? Because like, it's none of our business. And also maybe they don't know. They've been together for 16 years. They have no idea how the fuck they're making it work, but they just are. Because when I smushed the questions together, they didn't totally answer both, but also they kind of did.
Dan's brain is like a very organized filing cabinet. He's meticulously organized. While mine is like a cloud of wires and chaos.
Sometimes I'm paralyzed by my need for everything to be perfect. And Phil is the radical counter to that.
And learning that that's how they view themselves and view each other kind of gave us context to the examples of them encouraging each other to do certain things.
Hello from the editing zone. I just wanted to say how proud I am of Dan and how he's grown into such an inspiring person. He's so modest about this book and he's not talking about it as much as he should.
They've been helping each other for as long as they've known each other become more confident. Reading it back, listening to it back, whatever it was, I was just a wreck.
Psychologically, sometimes I appear a bit grumpy and serious, so I subconsciously try to shrink myself to appear less like a spooky man. So I think that sometimes I want to kind of, you know, furl the flower.
I touched on this in like ep 3, but the idea that Dan was this kind of like dark cloud is just like couldn't be further from the fucking truth. Bro is soft.
You act so innocent despite the evil icy truth within, and I seem so cold and nasty despite actually being soft and cuddly. Everyone would go on Team Phil and I would be left crying on the bathroom floor.
And you should for what you did.
I saw something after the rebrand video and it was like, Dan is so tall. He keeps growing. He's so much taller than Phil now. And oh, guys, it's going to make me fucking bawl my eyes out. There is a weight that's been lifted off his shoulders and he's standing taller. Anyway, I just kind of threw it out there. I was like, what is something that makes you stand pussy to the world? I have never associated Phil with being shy. Growing up is awkward as fuck. And when you're alternative, like even more so. And to say that like this job kind of made him strip away the layers of social anxiety. I didn't totally know what to do with it in the moment, but all I could really say was like, it's truly been beautiful to watch you grow. And Phil said, thank you. I kind of paused the interview to say, you're welcome, which seems strange as something of note because that's what you say when someone says thank you. And you say thank you when someone gives you a compliment. But in that setting, that's never really happened before. In interviews, you're always kind of like on some level blowing smoke up their ass. But when these people are on like a press circuit or whatever, I think it can get like a little bit watered down. This interaction really took me by surprise because they both opened up more than I thought that they would, and maybe more than they thought they would. Yeah, it just like felt like a very genuine moment that I'm very grateful for. Selfishly, the interview was for me.
Why was it for you?
No, I'm going to cry. Whoever said don't meet your heroes is a fucking idiot. Because I think the best thing that I've done for my career is meet my heroes. I think it's because I've been so influenced by them probably my whole life, because they've literally shaped my perspective, my tone of voice, my editing style, like all the things that I've kind of shown you through this podcast, and the way that they speak to people and interact with people and value people, because it's the same way that I do. It was like looking into a mirror, and that's why I felt so comfortable roasting the fuck out of them for The Sims.
Talecia ripping into them about The Sims.
The difference when you have somebody in the chair who is going to critique their Sims playthrough, this is the content that we want.
I have notes. Get their asses.
I don't know if you've seen the Hope Core edit.
Hair, the makeup, the outfits are also really ugly.
Taste is subjective.
Lives rent free in my head.
For them technically being 10-year-long Sims players, they fucking suck at the game. I felt vindicated to have my voice be heard.
It makes me want to steal the mouse like a teenager, teaching their grandparent how to use a computer for the first time.
Girl, you are an absolute diva. I love you for that.
When I was figuring out what I wanted to say for this episode, I had my sister ask me a bunch of questions, and she said, why the fuck did you do that? Why did you go in with a list about the stuff you hated about the Sims series? I don't fucking know. The best way I can describe the decision was, it was kind of like a bit. I kind of wanted to like dance like a little court jester in front of them and make them laugh, like auditioning to be their third, Dan and Phil and Plinko. I had gone in with the intention of like gauging the vibe. I'd landed a couple of little things. I got some like giggles and bants out of them already. So I was like, okay, I'm feeling comfortable enough that I'm going to try. And it was kind of funny. I don't know. I'm going to release the tapes. So you know how I said I had meet and greet tickets? I was like really, really nervous, because what if they don't remember me, but also what if they do? Like, I don't know which option is worse. But another contribution to the fandom lore that you may or may not know was me was Dan and Phil wearing glasses in the meet and greet. They are the meta Ray-Ban glasses. Fucking don't ask. I bought them. I'll tell you anyway. I bought them at an airport. I made us late for our flight, and we were on our way to a concert, and I just thought it would be like really cool and fun, and it was. But I've literally only used them those 2 times. So no, I don't recommend them. They are not worth the money or the potential data breach, but it was kind of iconic. They had them on when we went into the meet and greet, and I got this moment.
Hey!
Hi!
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
We did the interview.
Yeah, that's me.
It's an honor.
Thank you. Do you like my glasses?
Friends.
Yes.
PJ was like, Dan, what does pussy face in the world
Shut
do?
up.
And I was like, we don't have time.
But that was such a nice interview. It came out so well.
It was risky.
With like Radio Auckland today with a lady that was like 58, and she tried her best.
Queen.
I was like, this could not be more opposite.
That was so, thank you so much. That's actually, like, that's fucking crazy. It's gonna make me sick. Dan and Phil have been online for however many years. Like, why now? Why make a series now? I said at the time, they are more than themselves than they have ever been. And like, now is the time to bring everyone together and celebrate that. And I don't think we realized how fucking right we were. Midway through this series, the biggest fucking video of their entire careers, maybe their lives, has dropped. We're in this like completely new, uncharted territory, and we have no idea what's coming. And that is so exciting. What I've really come to know is like, being a genuine fan, especially in this industry, makes you better. When I interviewed my favorite band, I wrote a little piece that kind of spoke about the dichotomy I've kind of always felt being in this industry as a fan, that I've always felt kind of like not able to play in both spaces at the same time. And I think in doing that, I did myself a disservice, and I made myself really fucking unhappy. In fan spaces, I felt like an imposter, because I'd seen how the other side works and how people talk about us who don't get us. But I've also been made to feel in some industry situations that showing your excitement makes you less professional, or you need to be aloof to be professional, which I think sucks. So something that felt like incredibly full circle to me about this particular series, about me getting to interview Dan and Phil, was at my first ever job. It was like a little tiny media company that did like YouTuber news and very like internet focused. I was being paid fuck all. The company had the opportunity to go to VidCon in LA, and they didn't have enough money to send me, but I got a credit card, don't do it. Flew myself to LA. Somehow we got invited to the closing night of Tatanoff. I can't believe I'm telling this fucking story. We then got invited invited to the after party. When I say that this interview was like a fanfic, this was a fucking fanfic. We walked into this house just on Sunset. That's so LA. It was empty. There was a bar. So it was like a house, but there was no furniture. Like big, like expansive lounge room type thing, except it was like all tile floor. I don't know why I'm explaining in such excruciating detail. It's because I don't know why, but there is no photographic evidence of this night. The party that had walked in, me, one other girl, and our two real older like man bosses. I was 19. I had no business being in there at all. We grabbed a drink and we stood in the corner, and all of a sudden people started arriving. We soon realized that this was a very intimate event, and it was just people who knew Dan and Phil on a very personal level. We had made the decision that we were absolutely not going to speak to them. We just were like, we've somehow ended up in this situation. We are not meant to be here. The next time that I saw them was at their next show, which was in Perth. Taken the weekend off to do a double duty. I was going to Dan and Phil and I was going to Troy Sivan. Blue Neighborhood tour, baby. And at the end of that weekend, I realized that I was having the most fun I've ever had. I realized that being in those spaces with genuine fans, I felt like I wasn't doing us justice in that job, that I wasn't representing us well enough. So I quit. For maybe my whole career, I think I've just been trying to do one better. During the production of this series, a bunch of shit happened and I lost myself. I had to really reassess how I felt about what I was willing to share or divulge about myself. Who does that fucking sound like?
Cheers. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good clink.
Making this series, hearing from you, immersing myself in the ethos of Dan and Phil, embrace the void, have the courage to exist, the power of light entertainment, all pleasure now. It brought me back. I was inspired by the people who are just like me in the comment sections, who are unapologetic about their interests and being the too much that's scary sometimes. Me, you, Dan, Phil, the goths, the girls, the gays, the geeks, we all deserve to stand pussy to the world.